Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee, DJ Envy has left us, but we have a special guest in the building. Who is it, Yee?
This is my girl, Zola. What's up, Zola?
Hi.
So we're excited because the movie is official. So let's talk about the process. And Zola, like, this was a huge thing. It was a 148 tweet thread when you first put the story out, and people didn't believe it. So let's flash back to that Twitter time when you first posted the story about Zola.
Yeah, so it was 2015, and I just, randomly got inspired. I was scrolling on my phone, and I came across these pictures from this trip I took maybe like 5 months prior, and I was like, you know what, I think I want to tweet about this. Like, I always kind of told my stories on Twitter, so that day, I was like, I'm just going to, really get into detail about this. So I told it on Twitter. It went viral instantly. It was like each individual tweet was going viral on its own. And so at that point, the next day I got a call, and they were like, this is James Franco. I want to direct this. Like, we should do something with this. And I'm like, no way. So we ended up flying out. My mom, who's my manager, at that time, we flew out to LA. We met him on set. We really didn't talk business that first time we met. He just wanted to get to know me, which was crazy for me. I'm like, what could James Franco possibly want to know about me? But he just seemed really intrigued. And so I was like, I think this could work. So then at that point, there was a completely different team of writers, and they had wrote a script that I really wasn't too happy with.
Was it a comedy?
It was not. It was not a comedy, and there was also extra added stuff that I didn't write or experience, which rubbed me the wrong way because I feel like I can only accurately represent my experience. So
like what? Tell us like what though before you like what kind of stuff?
So there was a situation where another person was added on the trip with us, and she was like underage. Like, so in my head, I'm like, well, I'm a sex worker. I'm an adult. I work in sex work because I want to. I know this happens, but I've never been in a situation where I see someone who's 16, 17 working in sex work comfortably around. Like, that's a different conversation, and that's not the conversation I'm having because I've never experienced that. So I was, taken back by that. I didn't like that part about it. And the humor just wasn't there, but it was also a room full of white writers and white males. So they really, the jokes probably didn't even land for them. They probably didn't even read a comedy when they were reading my tweets in the first place. So, it was just a disconnect for many reasons. And then divine intervention, shit just got put on pause. James Franco had to step down for personal reasons. So then at that point, there was no director. So now we started over from square one. And it landed in the hands of A24 and GG Films and Killer Films. And then they actually brought on Janixa Bravo kind of at the same time. When A24 came around, Janixa came around with them. And she brought on Jeremy, and it was just, up from there. Then she reached out to me, and the conversations, started back up about production. And she and Jeremy wrote a script that was more accurate to what I wrote. And then it was just a snowball effect. Janixa wanted Taylor. I wanted Taylor. Taylor called me. She asked for my blessing. I was like, yes, girl. We're like, that's my sister now. But
So Taylor Page is playing Zola, just for people who might not know in the movie. Now, at the time, right, you said James Franco really stepped up to the plate. We saw that Ava DuVernay was tweeting about it. Everybody was tweeting about it. Did any of them actually approach you also?
No, they actually did not. I had got there were some people from WME who approached us separately, just big production companies. There was no one else that hit me up personally, and Ava never hit me up. No.
You know what, man? To me, I mean, you already won because you got the movie made. But the reason I would love to see this movie be successful is because you show how to properly use social media. You know what I mean? Like, that's when social media is absolutely used right. Like, do you remember the mindset you was in when you first let those 148 tweets fly?
Yeah, I started, it kind of felt like theater at that point. Because at first I was just tweeting a story. I'm just like, this is what I do. I'm on Twitter. And it's something that I always did. But in that moment, for whatever reason, people were just really attracted to those first few tweets or the way that I was saying them. And so it was like instant, like the response and the reaction was like instant. And so that energy kind of felt like theater. I'm like, okay, so now I'm performing. Like now I have to tell my story and keep these people that are here right now watching this live, keep them here. So I just like focused in on that at that point. And then, I mean, here we are.
Now, you deleted those tweets though, right? Can you talk about what was that about?
I deleted them right after I sent off the last tweet because I had posted real names and pictures and where I worked at the time. And so when people started, like, Twitter, they want to be detectives. So people found like her mom's Facebook. People have found what high school she went to. People have found her cousins, her friends. I was like, oh my goodness. So I maybe kept it up for all of 10 minutes. And then I just went through and deleted it all. I was like, maybe I should have at least changed names to two.
You didn't know all that was going to happen.
Right.
And let's talk about the story of Zola that you tweeted, because if people, in case they don't know or they don't remember, it was a trip that you took with a girl that you had just met a few days earlier while you were at work in the restaurant. And you guys decided to go on a trip to make some money stripping, right?
Yes.
From Detroit to Tampa.
Yes, that was the plan. I was working. I was a Hooters waitress and a dancer at night. So I met her. She told me she danced as well. We exchanged numbers, and she was like, I'll let you know anytime I'm dancing. I'll make sure I call you. I go home. It wasn't a couple days. It was the next day. Mm-hmm. She called me and was like, she's going to Florida. Her and her roommate and her boyfriend driving down to Florida. They come pick me up. I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm always out for a girls trip. So she picks me up, and then the road trip part of it was pretty normal. I mean, the drive from Detroit to Tampa was, a pretty normal ride. But then when we got there, that's when the shit show happened. I found out that was her pimp. We went to a real raggedy ass motel to drop off her boyfriend. I mean, I think the place had roaches. It was so bad. I was like, okay. And then that whole weekend, I just slowly started to figure out who she really was. And it was clear that her job was to be a lure. It was very obvious.
She was the bait.
Yeah, it was very obvious.
But why would you trust this random woman anyway, Zola? Why would you trust this stranger to go on this long road trip? Do you watch the news? Do you see what happens in this world?
You know what? It's like this girl power sex worker alliance situation. Like I've done that type of situation before where I've met a girl, I'll meet her at work or I'll meet her at the club, and the very next day we're hanging out. It's that like instant best friend thing that women do.
Right.
I did that. And
plus she said $5,000 a night in this club.
I'm like, why not? And I had danced in Florida before, and so that didn't sound crazy to me. It made sense.
Was your boyfriend concerned?
Absolutely. He was like, no, do not go. You shouldn't go. I was like, okay. So then I asked him again. I asked him again in the middle of us having sex. Like, so can I go to Florida?
Now, you can't ask no man nothing in the middle of sex now.
Can I go to Florida? He's like, yeah, okay.
That's the best time.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. Since the movie, I know we had a screening together, which was really great, and people really enjoyed it, right? And one thing that people had said, and I saw a lot of questions about this when you first posted the tweets, they didn't believe you, right? Yeah. They didn't believe, because what ended up happening was, and I'm only giving away certain things because you have to see it to really know what happened, but obviously we've seen the tweets. And so you were actually not the person on the road turning tricks. It was the other girl, the white girl. And so some people didn't believe that. They were like, there's no way you went and didn't do that. So what do you say to people who say that?
Well, first of all, it confused me why people thought I was lying, because for starters, like I said, I tell my stories on Twitter all the time. So I wasn't on Twitter like bashing sex work or bashing dancers. Like, I've turned some tricks before too, girl. Like, why would I tell the truth about this time but not this time? I couldn't really wrap my brain around it. But I mean, people also just don't want to believe Black women. Like they just want to question, you know, Black women, and that's just what it is, unfortunately. Because I think if she would have told her story in a way that would have gotten the attention of anyone, and if, you know, she would have went viral in that way, I don't think they would have been questioning her. Like, is she really telling the truth?
First off, Zola, fuck them people, okay? Because they lie on social media all day, and
You know what I mean?
and don't nothing. At least whether you telling the truth or lying, you got a movie. So fuck them.
They do be lying all day, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like, why would I tell the truth every other time but this time? And the facts were checked, so I mean, now we know she wasn't lying. But you know.
She was getting a little bit of money to have sex too.
And that was my issue. That's it. That's the part I was kind of shaming. It's not what you're doing; it's how you're doing it.
Right, value your pussy.
You know, pussy worth thousands, $100.
No, it's not worth thousands. It's actually worth more. It's priceless.
Pussy is priceless.
Yes.
Have you ever been about to get paid to have sex and change your mind because the penis looks so bad?
You know, actually, no. I mean, it's been a thought.
What the fuck?
It's been a thought, but like, I'm at work, so I can't be like, never mind. Like, I'm at work. It's not like, you know, I probably wasn't even gonna like the sex for real anyway. I'm at work, so I can't, you know, show up to work and then see all the files that my boss put on the desk and be like, actually, never mind, I'm gonna go home today. Like, no, we're already here. I'm at work.
What if it looked like he had something, like a bump or something?
Okay, that's a different story. And that right there, we're out.
Did you have any reservations about telling your story once it went viral? Like, was there a point in time when it was just too overwhelming for you and you were like, maybe I shared too much?
No. I never had that thought. Like, maybe I shared too much. Because, I mean, not for myself, at least. I felt that for them. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have been so candid about who these people were. I should have just, but I mean, you know, who expected that? But I never had that thought because I was always that person. Anybody who knows me or who has followed me from Tumblr to Twitter, they know I've always been really vocal and you know.
How did that trip change your life when you came home?
Girl, I guess I just stopped. I wasn't as trusting no more because I was always the spontaneous one who's quick to, you know, make a friend or take a trip, or that's just who I am. Like I said, especially when it comes to women or sex workers. Like, so for me, when I got home, I actually quit dancing. I didn't go back to the club for a very long time. And I was just, it was all no new friends from then on out.
What do you want the audience to learn, Zola, about like dancers and women who work in the sex industry?
Well, I guess for starters, I want, especially when it comes to me, I want people to know that sex work isn't black or white. You know, it's a wide spectrum. It's a job. It's hard work. We don't all come from the same type of background. We are not all from the hood or looking to be rescued or saved from something. Some of us, like myself, just are confident in our sexuality and expressing it that way, and we like to make money. So I would like people to understand that. I would like people, at least with this film, to see that sex work and sex trafficking are two completely different conversations. And I think sex work oftentimes gets a bad rap or gets talked about negatively because of the topic of sex trafficking.
Right.
I think sometimes people kind of mesh the two together, which there's one huge difference, and that's consent. So I need people to really understand that and see that I was basically pulled from my sex work situation, which is what I'm doing by choice, to now, you know, I'm in this sex trafficking fiasco and against my will. Mm-hmm. So consent, I want people to really understand that. And I mean, when it comes to Black writers and Black creatives and Black women, I just want them to hopefully feel inspired by me to share their stories and share their voices and claim agency over their voice. I mean, so many people will come to me like, I can't believe, you're still a part of this, or I can't believe you got compensated for your story. And it's like, why is that so rare? Why is that such a shocking takeaway? It's like, so I really want people to feel like through my experience, they now know they have agency over their voice. They deserve it. And, lift up, talk about it. Use your platform for that reason.
What I liked about it was, as the Black woman in the movie, you were the strongest person when it came to the pimp, when it came to, what's her name, Stephanie? When it came to Stephanie, when it came to your boyfriend even. You were really the one that was like calling all the shots. You would be a great manager, But was that an intentional thing for you? Like, was that something you thought about? Like, as a Black woman, I am the strongest character in this movie.
Absolutely. So, sometimes that's how I have to maneuver through life. Even if I'm not the strongest person in the room, I kind of have to be, if that makes sense. It's like I don't have much of an option in certain situations, and that was one of those situations. It's like, not even just the strongest, I felt like I had to be the smartest person in that room. Because if anybody in that setting would have been one step ahead of me, it could have went a completely different way. So I had to stay on top of what Stephanie's thinking, what the pimp's thinking, what her boyfriend's thinking. I just had to really, stay in that headspace. And so I think that's what kept that front of strength. Because when I went home, I was balling.
Right.
So that's really what kept that on. Just making it home safe kept me in that tunnel vision, headspace.
Do you see yourself writing more movies, Zola, or you don't think you could capture this moment in time again?
This moment in time was such a special one, I think, because of Twitter, and I think since it had that live interaction, that essence of storytelling, I don't know how that could ever be captured. Mm-hmm. This was a moment. So can that essence of a live theater moment ever happen? I don't know. I don't really think so, but I didn't see it happening then. So, moving forward though, I have had so many experiences. Like, these characters are just surface of some of the shit I've experienced in my life. So I would love to continue writing. I think I have a niche for it. I'm good at it. Mm-hmm. I would even love to be in writers' rooms. I don't necessarily have to always be telling on myself, but I do think I have a lot to contribute to that creative space. And, I hope so.
I would love to see like a Zola part 2.
Yes, that's why it's a little cliffhanger.
Oh, it is?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So that could happen.
Yes.
All right. Well, Zola, thank you. When is the movie coming out?
It is coming out on the 30th.
That's right. I wanted to ask you one more thing. Do you think that it's necessary in this business to have a pimp? Like, or you think that's something that...
Hell no. The girls that I've seen that have had pimps were, again, on the other spectrum of sex work, the part that I can't relate to, the doing this because they need some, that, like, as a last resort, or they're just really bad at managing their money, which that's never been me either. So, hell no. You do not need a pimp to be. No.
Well, Zola, give me your info so they can find your tweets and your Instagrams and all that good stuff.
Yes, everything is at Zola Moon. Twitter is at _Zola Moon. You can get the story at the A2 Films website. We got it in book form.
Yes, I have the book too. And the movie's out today, so everybody make sure you support and check it out.
That's where you'll find me.
Thank you, Zola. Zola, appreciate you. Zola, it's The Breakfast Club.